Good morning, Year 6, and here is your Monday's English lesson for this week. So this week we're going to carry on building up our skills, our writing skills. So after half term we have another go at writing a fantasy story. Today we're looking more at the structural and features of fantasy stories and helping you understand how kind of it fits together. I really liked our live lesson the other day and hearing your ideas of your sentences, and don't forget to magpie all those ideas because they'll be really good to put into your stories later. So last week we talked a lot about the key features of fantasy stories in terms of their setting, the characters, and that almost break from real life, and we talked about different examples, and some are shown here, and we talked about Harry Potter and kind of the effect on the reader and the inference we can take from reading these. And when we don't have pictures to go with, or if we're watching a film, if we don't have that, it's got to come through in the description of our writing. And dialogue alone doesn't really help create that fantasy setting. And remember, you've got a copy of this fantasy organiser, knowledge organiser. And I just want to draw your attention back to those main features with our main character. Our character is going somewhere, doing something, going through that portal, whether it's a door, a box, a hole, and it takes them to another world where events take place, and then the main character returns with a memento. And in the Leon and the Place Between story, Leon comes back with that rabbit. So last week we spent a while looking at fantasy settings, and you had a go at writing a few. Remember, it's imaginary or another world or universe. Time travel is possible, and the setting is where the action takes place. The object or person being sought will be found, and a quest, like a special task, a mission, is accomplished, it's done. And we thought last week how that linked to the Leon story, especially when Leon goes into the box. Okay, so today I've got a short extract of a story called The Mysterious Portal. This extract is available on the website as a PDF for today, so it'd be really useful if you can have your own copy too. I'm going to read it first of all, and then I'm going to share my reader's mind with you and unpick part of it and tell you what I like about it. And remember, how does this do it justice if it doesn't have a picture? How has the writer helped me to create that picture in my mind? Lush green trees swirl around me like a tornado. Tropical violet hibiscus seem to stare down at me. A clear waterfall rushes down slippery rocks into an aqua pool of water. Vivid green ferns tickle my soft feet. My mind is an ocean of happiness. As I look up, I cannot see much light because of the overgrown banana leaves shielding me from the blinding sun. I notice a giant scaly crocodile. It snarls at me, revealing a forest of disgusting yellowish teeth. Its mouth opens wider and wider until it is as wide as a doorway. Suddenly, a mysterious portal opens before me, through the almost metallic jaws. I get pulled in uncontrollably. Nothing but murky, oozing slime surrounds my tired body. The sound of an evil, unfamiliar laugh sends a shiver down my spine. Without warning, I instantly get transported into a dark room. Ghost-like figures lurk in the hallways which surround me. Blood-stained rags cover my lifeless legs, but I'm too petrified to take them off. I feel like something is watching. There seems to be the shape of an ugly face reflecting in the shattered windows. I notice a sharp rock pointing out of the split carpet. It calls to me, almost like it has a voice. I decide to grab hold of it. The rock screeches like gnarled old fingernails running down a blackboard. The floor starts to tremble. A huge square of it lowers down, and slowly forms dusty stairs. My inner voice tells me that I must go down them. I decide to, still unsure. The dusty roof caves in on me as though the strongest man is standing behind the walls. I walk faster and faster, as quickly as lightning. Suddenly, a bright ray of light almost burns my eyes through the falling rocks. The tunnel has finally come to its end. I start to kick at the hole, struggling to get out. After what felt like an eternity, the stones slowly tumble down. I notice that I'm on a familiar street. My colourful house stands before me. I quickly run up to the mailbox. I slowly open the door with a huge smile on my face. Everything is perfect. But for how much longer? I think that's really powerful, that extract, and I like the way the author's really playing on our senses to try and help us to visualise what's going on here. I'm just going to take this first paragraph and tell you why I've put in red those words and phrases. So lush green trees swirl around me like a tornado. It's a nice simile, and I think the lush green trees really tell me what the trees are like. They're really thick, and maybe they're full of lots of branches that blow in the wind. Tropical violet hibiscus seem to stare down at me. Do you know what an hibiscus plant is? It's a beautiful flower, and it's a bright colour, violet, like a purpley colour, and it's tropical, so it's something different, and that tells me a lot about the setting. A clear waterfall rushes down slippery rocks into an aqua pool of water. I like the use of the adjective clear there. It's fresh water. Vivid green ferns tickle my soft feet. Again, rather than just ferns, they're bright green. My mind is an ocean of happiness. I like that phrase. As I look up, I cannot see much light because of the overgrown banana leaves shielding me from the blinding sun. Banana leaves are big anyway, but if they're overgrown, they become like a canopy. So I like that opening. It's very descriptive. It tells me a lot about the setting. It doesn't need really any action there. It's more about creating that picture. So what I want to do today is to use this extract and almost box it up. Using our IPL grid, I want us to imagine we are the writer of that extract, and what did our planning grid look like before they wrote it? We have done this at school, remember, before. So remembering our generic structure of a fantasy story, the main character goes somewhere in the introduction, so that's the bit I've just read to you. Then the build-up is where my main character does something. The problem is where the main character goes through that portal and is transported to another world. The resolution is where those events take place. Or there might be a bit of crossover there between the problem and resolution. And then the ending where my character is going to return with a memento. So I'm going to share with you now how I have started to box this up. There is a blank copy of the IPL frame on the website. Because you're going to be boxing up that story, your own version. Remember, when we box up, we keep it very short. We use bullet points. We don't attempt to write whole sentences or even paragraphs in these boxes. So in my introduction, it's all to do with the setting description. And having read that opening paragraph, I know there's feelings of nature and peace. It said the ocean, my mind was an ocean of happiness. There's lots of adjectives there to help me build that picture, and again you might want to branch those off further. Metaphors or similes. And that's enough to put in that opening section. Then my build-up is the crocodile portal. That's the main point. And then the elaboration is the description. And it's kind of portrayed as being negative. Like not in control. Maybe there's feelings of fear or bad feelings. Then my problem is the dark room, and my resolution happens in the tunnel. So as you can see, I've started to build those up. You'd need to add the details for the dark room and tunnel. And then the ending, it has that description about home and the different feelings. And how the author managed to create a feeling of that sense of relief. So your task for today, you can either magpie what I've put for the introduction and build up an ending, or you can write it how you see it. There's no right or wrong answer for that, but I recommend you have that PDF document so you can bullet point it. You need to finish the yellow bits. You need to finish the detail here with the dark, under the dark room and the problem, and the detail in the resolution. Then I want you to look back in the text. What sentence openers has the author used? They use fronted adverbials linked to how, when, where. Can you find examples of conjunctions when we talk about fanboys and hands and feet? And what technical words, like hibiscus, and we talked about those, would you bullet point at the bottom? Okay, so as I put here, use the blank IP or planning grid, which is saved as a PDF on the school website. We'd like you to continue to box up the mysterious portal story. I'm just going to move myself out of the way. Think about what this story would have looked like on this planning grid before the author has written it. So it's almost like the backwards way. We did this when we did the Mozart question in the first term in Year 6. Remember, keep your notes short, use those bullet points. Okay, and that's it for today's lesson. And then tomorrow we're going to start to look at fantasy characters and building up some of our writing skill for those. Don't forget to send your work via Dojo to your portfolio, the year group portfolio, so we can see how you got on. Thank you, Year 6.